When Moon opposes Saturn, the two individuals are standing on opposite sides of the emotional spectrum. The Moon person seeks nurturing, vulnerability, and immediate emotional expression. The Saturn person represents discipline, societal expectations, and emotional restraint. This opposition acts as a mirror. The Moon person sees their own need for safety reflected in Saturn's stability, while the Saturn person sees their repressed emotional needs reflected in the Moon person's vulnerability. It is often called a glue aspect because despite the friction, it is incredibly difficult to walk away from. The debt of emotional safety. Often there is a feeling that the Saturn person owes the Moon person a sense of security. The Saturn person may feel an inexplicable burden of responsibility for the Moon person's well-being. This can feel like a parent-child dynamic at times, where Saturn provides the walls and Moon provides the soul. The wall of silence. The most difficult karmic hurdle is the perceived coldness. When the Moon person seeks a hug or emotional validation, Saturn might respond with a practical solution or a critique. This isn't because Saturn is cruel, but because Saturn's love language is built on endurance and providing, not necessarily feeling. The higher purpose of this aspect is to teach the Moon person how to self-soothe. Saturn acts as a catalyst that forces the Moon person to find internal emotional structures, rather than leaning entirely on the partner. Conversely, it teaches the Saturn person that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a necessary component of a lasting foundation. To evolve through this karmic placement, both parties must recognize their roles. For the Moon person, understand that Saturn's silence is often their way of trying to be strong for you. Do not mistake a lack of outward emotion for a lack of commitment. For the Saturn person, practice softening. Validating an emotion is not the same as agreeing with it. Small gestures of warmth prevent the Moon person from feeling emotionally starved. Key takeaway: Moon-Saturn oppositions are not about happiness, in the light, bubbly sense. They are about growth, endurance, and the creation of a legacy. To deepen the exploration of Moon opposing Saturn synastry, we have to look at the psychological undercurrents that make this connection feel so fated. This isn't just a clash of moods. It is a collision of two different ways of surviving the world. The master and student paradox. In many karmic interpretations, the Moon person is the soul, who has come to learn emotional boundaries, while the Saturn person is the architect, who has come to learn empathy. The weight of expectation. The Saturn person often feels a heavy sense of duty. They may feel they can never quite do enough to satisfy the Moon person's emotional hunger. The fear of rejection. The Moon person is hypersensitive to Saturn's moods. A simple sigh from the Saturn person can feel like a devastating critique to the Moon person. This creates a cycle where the Moon person tests Saturn's loyalty, and Saturn withdraws to protect their own peace. The psychological shadow. This aspect often triggers inner child wounds. The Saturn person likely had to grow up too fast or had a parent who was emotionally distant. When they see the Moon person expressing raw emotion, it triggers their own repressed inner child, causing them to react with sternness or logic as a defense mechanism. The Moon person may have a history of seeking validation from figures who are hard to please. They are subconsciously drawn to Saturn to win the affection they felt they missed out on in the past. Strategic growth points. To move from restriction to resilience, the couple must work on specific, karmic homework. Timing the connection. Saturn is the lord of time, Chronos. In this synastry, timing is everything. The Moon person needs to learn that not right now from Saturn does not mean never. Learning to ask, are you in a headspace to support me emotionally right now? Can save the relationship from years of resentment. Physicality as a bridge. Because Saturn struggles with verbalizing warmth, the physical container of the relationship becomes the anchor. Saturn expresses love through acts of service, paying the bills, fixing the car, or building a home. The Moon person must learn to translate these actions into the I love you they aren't hearing verbally. The anchor effect. While the opposition creates tension, it also prevents the relationship from drifting away during hard times. When the world is in chaos, the Moon-Saturn opposition provides a foxhole mentality. You may argue behind closed doors, but you are a fortress against the outside world. Summary of the archetypal conflict: the evolutionary gold. The gold in this aspect is emotional maturity. Over decades, the Moon person becomes more grounded and less prone to emotional tidal waves, while the Saturn person becomes softer and more attuned to the subtle shifts in the human heart. The relationship eventually stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like an institution, something solid, ancient, and profoundly reliable. Subscribe to KarmicSynastry channel and be one click away from checking on any karmic connection you might encounter in your romantic relationship, professional life, friendships, or family life. Learn, expand, and grow your knowledge.